What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, keeping you up to date on all the latest wrestling news, all the latest rumors and reports. Today we're rounding up everything that went down on this week's SmackDown, massive reports for WWE and why they could be working with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tony Khan slams WWE, a lot of updates in regards to SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar return could be imminent, a wrestler ban, and much more. So you guys know what to do. Hit those notifications to continue be up to date and to continue getting more wrestling from us. Make sure to subscribe to both of our channels. Heading into this weekend, one of the biggest report that we have gotten comes from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, indicating that WWE President Nick Khan has had talks with New Japan Pro Wrestling about a possible working relationship. And this obviously comes as a shocker because WWE doesn't really play well with other top companies. As a matter of fact, they barely play with them to begin with, and this will be a working relationship that we've been waiting for over 20 years, so it's hard to believe that we're even talking about it. But nonetheless, those are the reports right now, and again, we don't know the specific reason of it, but a PW insider did provide a very good update that actually makes sense up to why this might be happening. They indicated that they were told that the main thing in regards to all of this talk between WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling was actually over Daniel Bryan working some dates for New Japan Pro Wrestling, while of course still being in contract with WWE. Daniel Bryan has indicated in multiple interviews before that before he fully retires, he wants to be able to wrestle a lot of other superstars on different companies, superstars that are not in WWE, and that he has a lot of opponents in mind, especially in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it looks like this is where this type of deal or discussion or talk between both of the companies comes in. WWE obviously wants to make Daniel Bryan happy. They want to keep him on the contract. They don't want him to go somewhere else, more specifically AEW, because that will be even more competition to WWE in the United States. I can see this type of Daniel Bryan deal sort of being like Chris Jericho, where Vince McMahon gets his blessing, but this time Daniel Bryan actually comes back to them because he will be in some type of agreement or contract where he is not allowed to probably show up on AEW. As you guys can see, this is a developing story, so I will keep you up to date. Before this week AEW Dynamite, we did have Tony Khan making fun of WWE and their potential working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this is Tony Khan once again breaking that forbidden door, pointing out that if Nick Khan has been in talk with New Japan Pro Wrestling for the last couple of months, then he certainly have gotten a lot done. He was obviously being sarcastic because, as he mentioned in this goofy promo, he had over 5 New Japan Pro Wrestling superstars, championship holders and so on over the last couple of weeks show up on AEW Dynamite, emphasizing that he's the one who has the real New Japan Pro Wrestling deal. Tony Khan also mentioned how Jon Moxley successfully defending the IWGP US title, and there are more plans for that title on AEW. He went on to slam WWE President, indicating that he is just some con man from Connecticut, and again kind of emphasizing that it doesn't really look like these rumors are actually true, and that whatever deal Nick Khan is trying to work with New Japan Pro Wrestling doesn't really seems like it's working out too well. This little promo got a lot of attention on social media, and I think that is what they were trying to achieve, as they dropped it during SmackDown to simply hype up AEW Dynamite, which was gonna go right after SmackDown at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Now this is just another situation of AEW making fun of WWE, so I could come here and kind of rant about it for the next 10 minutes, but there's no point of it because next week there's gonna be another reference just like this. I will say this though, at least I enjoy it more when it's Tony Khan, because those 9 days promo are the greatest at being the most goofy and worst things that we have seen. It just feels like at least Tony Khan has a sense of humor when it comes to it. On to some other news, and we're talking more SummerSlam. There's a lot of reports right now in regards to what is going to be happening that weekend. We already discussed that WWE changed the date of it to Saturday, August 21st, instead of it being on a Sunday. The company did note that the location for the show will be announced on Saturday, June 5th. So it looks like there's a lot of changing parts right now, but as we've mentioned before, it is still rumored to be happening at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. In regards to why was it changed to Saturday, the Wrestling Observer Radio ended up indicating that the simple reason is just because the stadium wanted to happen on that day. They wanted SummerSlam to be on a Saturday instead of that Sunday. There's a lot of inconsistency though in regards to all of these reports, because it's being indicated that WWE already locked the date because of the stadium, but yet again we're also getting multiple reports indicating that the venue of the show, the arena of the show, might end up getting changed. Regardless, the date is a bad date nonetheless, because it is competing with the Manny Pacquiao fight, which will be the hottest thing on that day. This week on SmackDown, we ended up getting some hype promo for SummerSlam, and the theme song for it ended up featuring Cardi B. Not really a surprise here, but right after that we got reports indicating that she is said to be the special host of the show. Over the last couple of months, Cardi B ended up having a lot of related WWE tweets talking about her favorite wrestlers growing up, such as Booker T and Eddie Guerrero, and even exchanging some words with the likes of Lacey Evans and so on. So there have been a lot of impressions in regards to that. WWE is probably trying to take advantage of it. Talking about SummerSlam, there has been a massive return teased. Actually, we got in a lot of returns being teased this week, such as Edge, John Cena. We've been talking about that for weeks, but now Paul Heyman ended up commenting and kind of teasing on when we could be seeing Brock Lesnar back to WWE. Paul Heyman spoke with Sport Talk 790 in Houston, and he was asked about Brock Lesnar making a return. Lesnar hasn't been seen on WWE television since losing at WrestleMania 36 against Drew McIntyre. He indicated the following: "Asking me about Brock Lesnar is a highly intelligent question, and I commend you on your efforts. However, it is a hypothetical. Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do. If Brock Lesnar wanted to be back in WWE at this moment, at this particular time and place, he will be. Maybe he has been waiting for live events, and maybe he will choose Houston to make that return, or maybe not, because Brock Lesnar is going to do whatever Brock Lesnar wants to do." And we heard the rumors before that WWE was waiting to bring back a lot of their top talent when the live audience is back. Even last summer we heard that Vince McMahon didn't want to bring back Brock Lesnar without the live audience being back, because it's just not as beneficial for WWE. They're not selling tickets right now. Brock Lesnar puts people in seats, much like a lot of their other top talent, so they've been waiting for that. And last piece of news before we get into some SmackDown. Over the last 2 days or so, Paige has been banned from her Twitch account. This ban apparently came after she did a watch-along of Jim Carrey's Dumb and Dumber movie. Twitch, of course, is very strict when it comes to that, especially copyright content. And I'm not even too sure how she thought this was going to be a good idea, as this is not one of the Amazon Prime movies that you are allowed to do this for. This is likely a temporary ban, but we don't know when she will be back. As for what went down on this week's SmackDown, we got the quick recap, and a real quick one because we had a lot of good wrestling. There's not a lot to complain on. It started off with a banger of a tag team match of the Usos defeating the Street Profits. And if WWE gives us tag team matches like this one on a weekly basis, I could definitely tell you that the tag team division will be the best thing ever on WWE. We had Natalya and Tamina defeating the Riot Squad, the SmackDown Women's Champion Bianca Belair defeating Carmella, all of which ended with Bayley just standing on top of the SmackDown announce table and laughing at Bianca Belair. Seth Rollins also ended up laughing a lot in his promo this week. He provided a medical update on Cesaro and basically continued to blame him for himself, Seth, becoming so violent. We had Kevin Owens defeating Apollo Crews, but by disqualification due to Commander Aziz interference. They announced an IC title match next week with Commander Aziz being banned from ringside. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Chad Gable, and for the main event we had Dominic Mysterio in a handicap match against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. This was a handicap match because Rey Mysterio was taken out in the backstage by the Dirty Dogs, so Dominic still wanted to face them. Dominic actually picked up the victory due to the Rey Mysterio music distraction. The highlight though came after the match, after the Uso came toe-to-toe with the title holders as they prepare to square it off next week. So that is all the latest and what went down on this week's SmackDown. If you guys enjoyed or found it informative, don't forget to elbow drop it and hit those notifications. I'll catch you on the next one, so stay savage.